people that waited in line just to share this experience of Venom, Candyman, Night of the Living Dead, The Rock, Final Destination. But I want you to know you are now entering the
Cinema
Chop Shop with a top and the pop boom boom bop.
The Cinema Chop Shop.
What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, so park your ass right there. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button. And today we're here to review Sinners, the Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan film. Now, going into this movie, I didn't know what to expect. I completely avoided this movie at all costs. I didn't want to watch any trailers. I watched one trailer. I watched the first trailer, and that's it. And then after that, I completely avoided this movie like the Black Plague. Now, I felt like that worked in my favor because watching this movie in its entirety, it really is a roller coaster ride. And that's in a good way. A quick synopsis of the movie: you have Michael B. Jordan playing twin brothers, so he's playing two characters in this movie. They employ one of their relatives to play in a juke joint that they just bought, and they're just trying to thrive in the Mississippi Delta and try to pave a way for themselves. But then their night is kind of cut short when, you know, they become under attack from vampires. Now, this movie has a lot of, like, symbolicness to it. It has a lot of undertone conversations. It's really interesting to look at it from different characters' perspectives. And it also, even the perspective of the vampire. You know, I didn't know that this movie was going to be grounded this much in a musical element, but it was really surprising to see it when it kind of played out. I will say that one of the biggest takeaways from this film is that there's actually two big takeaways from this film. One of the big takeaways from this film is that the third act feels a little rushed. It feels like something was forced to happen in order to kind of amplify it to make it go forward. And I get why it had to happen like that, because if it didn't happen like that, you were going to find yourself in a cat and mouse situation that already kind of played out too long, and we as the audience was going to get bored waiting for something to happen, so they kind of had to force it to happen. Now, the way that it happens, it kind of feels unnatural. I feel like an average person wouldn't go that route in that specific scenario, but, I mean, I can't tell anybody how to react in that scenario because, I mean, I ain't never been in that scenario. I don't know what it would be like in that scenario, so, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, to the point, my other big takeaway is there is a musical choice within this film. I understand why it happens. And it feels like it's supposed to be like a clean mix of multiple genres of music. And I was in a theater with a great sound system, and I was able to hear everything vividly. And the mashup to me just didn't blend well. It was supposed to be like this kind of mashup of different genres of music from different time periods. But then also it was supposed to have like this dark kind of twisted twang to it. And I felt like they kind of missed the mark trying to successfully get that sound. It worked in some parts, and then some parts it didn't work. I get what it did. It was a very artistic-y aspect thing tied to it, because as the camera is kind of panning around the room, you have it kind of like changing musical genres, which was cool, don't get me wrong. But again, I think it worked better for some of the genres explored and not all of them. But anyway, you'll understand what I'm talking about when you get there. As a movie, though, the cinematography in this movie is excellent. Top-notch, over-the-top, great acting. The acting in the movie, phenomenal as well. Every actor in here brings their A-game. I also feel that the dialogue in this movie is really realistic. Kind of it speaks of the time period. And I feel like it does justice. It really feels like... How can I explain this without giving things away? Look, I'm just gonna say it like this. It does justice. It feels true to the time period, but at the same time, it doesn't make you feel like you're watching like Roots or something. And that's the one thing that I hate about period pieces, especially when it's dealing with Black history. I hate watching a movie and feeling vulnerable because everything that's being depicted is showing black people as weak. And I feel like this movie does a really good job at not making black people appear to be weak and not making black people super like defenseless and shit. So I thought they did a really good job at that. Again, the acting in the movie is amazing. The cinematography in the movie is amazing. The actors do a phenomenal job. The dialogue in the movie is great. And it's really cool because, again, you can watch this movie and you could take... This movie, you could really do a character study on several of the main characters. And you feel like you can really do a deep dive on them. And they could kind of get their own separate movie and you wouldn't be mad about it because a lot of these characters were interesting. You know, like Little Sammy was interesting, aka Preacher Boy. It would be really interesting watching him growing up. I wouldn't wouldn't mind a movie about Stacks and Smoke. That would be really interesting. About old girl that one of the brothers dated. Either of the girls that the brothers dated was really cool. They're interesting as well too. But the main three characters, those were the ones, and then also the lead vampire guy, the Irish cat. I think he would be very interesting to watch as well too. But again, I really thought that this movie did a really good job, especially with blending in the aspects of music, because the idea of music, because it's a central focus to the juke joint and drinking and having fun and partying and stuff. I thought that it was done really, really well. Michael B. Jordan again brought his A game in this damn movie. Ryan Coogler A game in this movie. I never really thought that we would see a Ryan Coogler kind of horror-esque film. And also in a world full of vampire movies, you know, you just had Nosferatu. I didn't really think that I was ready for another vampire movie. And honestly, I felt a little bit overwhelmed or kind of like overstimulated with a lot of these like old school cliche type movies, werewolves, vampires, shit like that. They get a little old very quickly. And I feel like this movie did a really good job at giving you like a fresh take on it. It was really cool. Especially when they kind of fast forward and you kind of get like a modern look at what happens later. I thought that was really cool too. Shout outs to the Juice haircut. You guys will get it when you see it. But again, like one of the biggest takeaways, like I said, is in the third act. The third act feels a little bit rushed. It feels like it's pushed forward on purpose, which isn't a bad thing, but then also it's kind of like a yeah. You know, also you have this conclusion in this film. And the conclusion of the film, especially with one of the main characters, although it's satisfying, it feels a bit awkwardly placed. You know, like you're kind of like forced to kind of accept it because of breadcrumbs that were left. And I don't feel like it was a justified response. I mean, I get it. You know, I can see it happening. The problem was like after this whole freaking night, after learning these characters, after becoming like really close with these characters, you know, you have this one character reach its character arc in a very satisfying but yet bittersweet way. And then also like again, you see the motives of again, the thing that makes this movie interesting is you understand the perspectives of all sides, right? We don't get much of the vampire. Right? We don't get much of the vampire character. But I'm sorry if I'm like making noise and shit. It's because I feel like I have allergies. It's the allergy season. My nose is itching. I feel like I'm sneezing and all that crap. So I apologize ahead of time. But anyway, even the main character, the main vampire guy, we don't see much of him. But yet we learn so much from him based off of the limited dialogue that he has, which says a lot. It speaks volumes. If you can have me learn a lot about a character and they don't speak much, that says a lot. You know, because how many times have we went and watched movies and you have these long-winded, drawn-out conversations or dialogue? And you're like, oh, okay, cool. I felt like I finally have a grasp of who this character is. This person didn't even have to say much, and you really understood where he was coming from. And even at times, you kind of empathize with him. Like, most people, or most of the times, the vampire's motives are always presented as selfish, right? This is selfish. Vampire wants to feed. He wants to turn you into a vampire because whatever, he wants more people in his flock, so on and so forth. This is similar, but there's like a extra layer added to it. And I felt like that made the vampire character even more interesting, you know? And I mean, I can't wait to have a spoiler discussion of this movie because I want to deep dive into it and have really good conversations about it. And it's kind of hard to have a great conversation about this film when it feels like I have to keep all of the good information holstered because I feel like I'm going to ruin something for you guys. And I want you guys to check out this film because I truly believe that this so far is one of the best films of the year. And that says a lot because, well, it doesn't really say much because this year's been kind of like mediocre. But I will say as of right now, this is probably one of the best films of the year. Easily, hands down. This is an A movie. Not an A plus and not an A minus. I think it's a solid A movie. It's not perfect. It has some flaws to it, but at the same time, the flaws aren't so glaring to the point where you're just like, ugh, like you ruined it or you made this that bad. It's like minor points. It's like, you know, like it's just minor infractions. It's like you didn't do something that was horrible. Again, the gripes that I have with the movie, they're not so bad to the point where it doesn't make sense. It's just that I probably would have went a different route with it. But I'm not mad at them for going the route that they did. It's a great movie, fun ride. Runtime doesn't feel that bad when you're watching the movie. I was fully immersed the whole time. And I liked all the characters. Every character felt like they had a place. Every character was interesting. The music was great. The musical elements of the movie was great. And cinematography was great. This is just a really good movie overall. And overall, like I said, I give this movie a solid A. Let me know in the comment section down below. How do you guys feel about this movie? Do you feel like it was a great movie? You feel like it's just good? Or do you guys didn't like it? Let me know in the comment section down below. But you are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys are having a great day. And adios, homies.
I want to play a game. Subscribe now. The choice is yours. You're now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop.